Third light appearing. They stand nicely. Ready to go. And they're off. And Devoted was beaten for pace and found itself back near enough to last early on. Off the inside, Didira flew out of the gates, and likewise the Lady is a Vamp, and Yemen Lass Bazooms up nice and prominent. Booting up underneath of it shortly afterwards is Plamont. Carberry had Hardly Ever going along in the clear back behind them with a length and a half. Devoted improving. Back there was Multinational, and the tail ender is 6 Carat. They leave the 750 behind them, and Didira in front and in control of the Lady is a Vamp. 3 deep, no luck here. Middle stages, Yemen Lass, a length and a half away. Plamont on the inside. Bazoom beautifully placed next. Then a length and a half behind those being clicked up is Hardly Ever. Devoted's back on the inside, also being heeled along. Well off them is Multinational, and still last of all is 6 Carat. Well, they turn here at the 350, and Didira the Lady is a Vamp together. Didira the inside, the Lady is a Vamp headed it. Bazoom got them both. Hardly Ever starting to wind up for Carberry. It's Bazoom though in front with 150 left to go. Bazoom's the leader. Hardly Ever trying to run it down. It's coming. Hardly Ever. Bazoom finding Bazoom, and Hardly Ever. Bazoom clung on, and Bazoom has won for the second time in 3 days. Bazoom on the inside has just held off Hardly Ever. Devoted was back behind them third home, and they were followed further back by the Lady is a Vamp and also Plamont. In behind them next of all is 6 Carat, Multinational, and then came the tiring Didira, and the last to greet the judge after a tough run was Yemen Lass. Bazoom handles the backup from Wednesday's victory. The 59 kilos didn't stop this filly either. The daughter of Safeguard, the Magumba Park stud-based Safeguard out of Zaboom, and lands the prize here. 2 wins in 3 days. Fabulous effort by a 3-year-old filly. Bazoom for Danny Morton. Chris Parnham had to really urge her along late. She was coming back from 14 to 12. She had that residual fitness, beating Hardly Ever. Pat Carberry, who'd knuckled down well. They were well clear of the well-fancied favourite Devoted, and the Lady is a Vamp was back there a distant 4th. Bazoom by Safeguard from Zaboom. For Len Morton, Enzo Gianotti, M.G. Burrows, A.J. Anderson, T. Conroy, Fred Fairthorne Jr., M. Cruz and P. Clark. Chris Parnham aboard the winning filly, defeating Hardly Ever, a daughter of Nakoni from She Makes My Day, Ray Meadowcroft, M&P Chadwick, A.J. Wilkie, Digby Beecham, Jason Caroni, Xavier Franklin, Simon Miller Prepares, ridden by Patrick Carberry, and Devoted third by Extravagant from Morning Mist. For Peters Investments, trained by Grant and Alana Williams and ridden by William Pike. A short neck, 2 lengths are the margins, and they've run 1:10.68. It's been a good gallop, 1:10.68 for the 1200, and home in 34.88. Chris Parnham gave her a lovely ride, tucked away just behind them, neatly poised in transit. Hardly Ever had the task of trying to run down Bazoom, and just unable to do so over the final stages of race 1. The next event, the Maldy Growers Market Handicap, is over 2,200. 5 Queen Takes King is the scratching out of the next. As we head down now to the yard, Danny Morton is about to join Brittany Taylor.
Thanks, Darren. Yes, Danny, on Wednesday we spoke about whether or not we'd see this filly today, and you said 80% not starting, left it with a 20% chance. What was the decision-making process like, and what made you change your mind?
I didn't want to jump into a decision too early. As it turned out on Wednesday, it was a fairly soft sort of run, and yeah, and then we just monitor her, you know, each day sort of through the time, and she looked like she'd done really well, so took our place.
Since we saw her on Wednesday, what has she done since?
Literally walked her for a couple of days. Actually walked to the track myself just to have a really, feel of her and just get a feel for her demeanour, and I thought she was up and about, so yeah, and she hadn't missed a feed, so yeah, we just rolled the dice.
Well, we saw her today. Clearly it didn't knock her around. She had the double strappers on her, the clerk with her behind the gates. What were you thinking in running? That's
typical of her, we just sort of, she's always on her toes. But yeah, in running, I was sort of keen for, well, Chris actually summed it up really good beforehand. He said if we, it'll depend on the jump if we land in front of Pikey's or not, which we did. And I said if we do, just sort of don't be all over the speed sort of thing. But yeah, it was a race that just panned out nicely. Just quickly, I'd like to give a shout out to Mr. Giannotto. He's in hospital at the moment. He had a bit of a tumble, but he's one of the part owners of this filly, so hopefully he didn't roll out of bed watching that one.
I dare say he may well have. I'm sure they'll know about the fact that this horse has won from the other wards. I hope he gave it a really big cheer. Hey, how's Elite Street?
He's good. Yeah, no, really looking forward to it. So, yeah, it's a good contest. It'd be a good race to watch.
Cannot wait for it. Well done on this one.
Thank you.
There's Danny Morton after the victory of Bazoom. Second time in the week, Scott. It's something I know you love with the stayers on the quick backup, but for a sprinter to do it, it's been a wonderful effort by the filly.
Absolutely, it has, Britt. Onward and upward from here. You'd think she's got those listed type races in her sights now. You'd have to have at least a throw at the stumps, heading towards races like Champion Fillies, for example. She looks like she'll get out over further. She's already been to 1,400 in her life. No reason why she couldn't get a mile. And if she showed that turn of foot at a mile, well, it brings her right into races. And not to mention that she's shown tactical speed that others couldn't quite today. Watching out of the gates, it looked like Devoted was just awkwardly out and sort of settled further back than anticipated. Hardly ever, certainly at the top of the home straight, loomed into it like she was going to play a part. And to her credit, got within a short neck late, but all honours with Bazoom. Not easy to be backing up off 72 hours, 1,400 back to 1,200 as a 3-year-old filly, let alone any type of horse. I like my stayers because they're rock hard fit and can do it. But for a filly like this to back up, very, very impressive.
It really is. And Danny just mentioned that it is typical of her personality to be a little bit above herself. So maybe that helps her in the sense that she probably has a bit of a tough type of constitution. And we're even seeing now she's been a long time to get back into the mounting yard. Chris just taking his time trotting her back. Obviously not wanting to come back with the rest of them. Probably because of that nature, but she's done a brilliant job. And as you mentioned, just some of those other fancied horses further back in the field, they all just seemed to hit that sort of flat spot where they were all off the bit and chasing, and until they turned and were able to level up, they weren't able to get back into the race. Hardly ever did a good job, I thought, to finish off as well as she did, but we did see those leaders sort of skip away and just put a few of those ones at the back off the bridle. But it all played out nicely for Bazoom and Chris Parnham, who's with Scott.
He is. Chris, this filly was victorious on Wednesday. When you first jumped aboard her today in the mounting yard, how did she feel?
Yeah, no, she felt really good going the gates and stuff, so she'd obviously pulled up pretty sound from the other day, and yeah, just rode her probably a touch quieter today, and yeah, she was too good.
Touch quieter, but yet still in front of the two main fancies. I'm sure that would have made you quite happy.
Yeah, she does jump pretty good out of the gate, so you're able to sort of use her up and put her in a good position. I think even I was probably planning on riding a spot further back than that today, but because she got out so clean, we ended up there.
We asked you on Wednesday what your best of the rest was. You said Savonic, and Savonic won, so we'll go again. What's the best of the rest for Chris Parnham today?
Platoon.
Well, that's a pretty good little push there. Congratulations, best of luck for the rest.
Thanks.
When he speaks, we listen. Chris Parnham always is good to the punters in leaning us into a winner. And I like that. Platoon, plain and simple, in the feature later on today. Bazoom wins for the second time in a week, defeats Hardly Ever, and the favourite Devoted in for third. 4, 5, 2 and 8 out of the first at Ascot.
One more time.